I'm Corbitt with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, October the 22nd, brought to you in part by ProBac Vaccines by Bimeda. ProBac vaccines provide the most complete protection against common BRD causing bacteria. Other killed vaccines don't even come close. For more information, go to bimedabiologicals.com. Pins and needles. And that's what we're waiting on here on Wednesday. The Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins, is going to make a big announcement, and we're not sure exactly what all it's going to entail. And we don't know if Trump's going to be involved. That could happen too. So there's no telling what might be said during this announcement. But they're going to offer some different types of relief for agriculturists, of course, maybe crop farmers and also cattle producers there. We expect that they're going to release grazing land from government programs to help people put more cows out and graze them to increase production of them. And perhaps they're going to do something with risk protection, maybe make some changes to the LRPs. They could make financing more available for young farmers there for government program loans. Kind of expect that maybe. Are they going to make the Argentina beef more available for imports? We've been talking about that a little bit here for the last several days. I'm not sure if we're going to hear about that on this announcement or if it's just going to be U.S. stuff. They're going to ease grazing land restrictions for grazing on public lands like BLM. I expect something like that. My friend Jack Payne from out in Nevada, he was invited to come out there, and he's got a big sale coming up on Friday and a lot of cattle coming in that he would normally be sorting on and getting all lined out for that. But he was headed to Washington, D.C. on Tuesday afternoon there to be there for the big announcement. Now originally this weekend, and that's one of the reasons I was going out to Fallon, Nevada, Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins was going to be on hand. The plan was she was going to be there at Nevada Livestock Marketing to hold a roundtable discussion with several ranchers from around the area that relied on public grazing lands. And she was going to be answering questions and making statements there. And we were going to broadcast that on DVAuction. And we're really looking forward to that. But due to the government shutdown, and that was put on hold. And I assume that this big announcement will probably take place of that. So I'm expecting some kind of announcement on BLM grounds. But it's going to be interesting to see what they say. Supposedly they're going to be helping cattlemen to increase production, and so I'm not sure what kind of ideas they have on that, but we're going to find out. If they're going to be talking about row crop farmers, maybe something about some increased exports for corn and soybeans. That could be on the docket. We have no idea. I did see that they are going to open up the FSA offices later this week, even though the government is shut down for ease of those programs. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. It'll be really interesting to see whether Trump is involved in the announcement or whether he just lets her take care of it. But all eyes will be on Washington, D.C. to what happens, and then we'll just hold tight to see what kind of a whipsaw that does on your CME cattle futures, because it always makes a big impact there. But on Tuesday, your feeder cattle and calves especially, were cheaper for the most part. But we still saw record highs, barn record highs, state record highs, and even some national all-time records. Because the cattle are so good and they're coming right now, and if guys want to buy them, they better get in and get to doing it. But I tell you what, it's just going to be very interesting to see what that does, what this statement does for the rest of the fall run of all these cattle that are selling. Your fed cattle market We gained quite a bit of ground last week, not as much as we thought we would gain, but we haven't seen really anything so far this week, but we're expecting it could maybe be higher, even though Trump said he was going to make beef cheaper. Beef's been pretty much higher ever since he said that. But like we said, there's so many things that are involved in that, and your retail price for beef really doesn't have anything to do with cattle prices or even your wholesale beef prices, because they just set that to whatever they think they can get for it. But we'll keep watching and we'll see what happens on Wednesday here. I want to talk to you about Brangus. Brangus are built to last. They are built for business, and they're built for your herd. If you decide to invest in genetics that add value where it matters, you might want to go to gobrangus.com to find out more about Brangus opportunities and big bull sales that are coming up here this fall and into the spring, guys. Also, I want to tell you about St. Onge Livestock in St. Onge, South Dakota. That's my buddy Justin Tupper out there. He's got 3 big sales this week yet. He's got a big sale on Wednesday, a calf special. He's going to have 3,500 head for that calf special. It starts at noon. And then on Friday, he was going to come back with about 7,000 head, mostly all calves. He's got some yearlings in that Friday sale. He's going to start the yearlings at 9. He's going to start the calves at 9:30, and he'll have a ton of them, and they'll be as fancy as you'd ever want, guys. And then Saturday, he's got a cow special, a lot of weigh-ups starting at noon, and then bred cows starting at, the weigh-ups start at 9, and then the bred cows going to start at noon. So be watching St. Onge Livestock, and you can view and bid their sale at DVAuction.com. Let's talk about your board on Tuesday. October live cattle futures were up 182 at 243.67. That's a lot better than what we got for cash prices last week. December up 177 at 245.42, so that looks good, just right over the hill. And your back months on live cattle up 117 to up 175. October feeder cattle futures down just 2 cents at 372.92, and they're kind of trying to work right in there to where they think the cash feeder cattle index are going to be, because they've got to meet up with that here real shortly. November feeder cattle up 80 cents at 373.47, and your back months on feeder cattle up 47 cents to up 117. So it was a good day on your CME cattle futures. New crop corn for December down 3.5 cents a bushel at 4.19 3/4. November beans down a penny at 10.30 3/4, and hard red winter wheat for December down 5 cents a bushel at 4.85. Your fat cattle trade in your negotiated areas, very, very quiet. I mean, we saw just a little smidgen of trade, but not enough to make any difference. Iowa sold a whole half a load of cattle at 238 live on Tuesday. Nebraska, nothing on Tuesday, but we did see some late Monday trade that they had, and it was 120 head at 372 dress, which was exactly steady with last week. Of course, Southern Plains, Kansas, and Texas haven't sold a hoof so far this week. We did have our market finder like we always do on Tuesday. Stockman's Livestock Market in Yankton, South Dakota had a good run of fed cattle for their in-house brick and mortar sale there. 1,700 in overnight, 28.50 for the fed cattle auction. The market was mostly $2 to $3 higher, with program cattle selling even more higher than that at the sale on Tuesday. Conventional fed steers and heifers sold from 237 to 242.50. Those going back to feed selling from 241 to 261, and they'd have a lot of weight to them, guys. Program cattle at Stockman's Livestock sell from 246 to 261, and that's quite a premium for the program cattle that we haven't seen here recently. Box beef cutout values were quite a bit higher on the choice, not so much select. Choice cuts up 275 at 371.93. Selects down 89 cents at 352.57. Your slaughter so far for the week has been real disappointing. Estimated cattle slaughter up through Tuesday, 209,000 cattle. That's 17,000 less than just last week and 35,000 less than the same week a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. Performance Livestock Analytics. Performance Beef tracks down to the pound each ingredient that you feed your cattle. Also, when you deliver the feed to the cattle, to each pen, and that saves you from mistakes you might make while feeding there each morning real early there. And don't forget, with Performance Livestock Analytics, you have access to all your historical data on previous years and previous sets of cattle, so you can always go back and look at that. For more information, go to performancelivestockanalytics.com. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market, brought to you by Specialty Risk Insurance. They are working to protect your livelihood, guys, right there in Carthage, Missouri, right across the highway from Joplin Regional Stockyards. Your real-time index from DVAuction, based on an 800-pound cash auction steer after the conclusion of all your Tuesday sales, was sitting at 370.31. That's down 90 cents, and it was down big on Monday, down $4 on Monday, and down another 90 cents on Tuesday. Your latest CME cash feeder cattle index was at 372.99. I want to tell you about a friend of mine, Rusty Jameson in Oklahoma. He's got the Jameson Hereford Ranch there. He is a ring man extraordinary, and heavy on the extraordinary there, guys. But that sale is going to be in Beggs, Oklahoma this Saturday at 12:30 in the afternoon, guys. And it's going to be on DVAuction. He's got 27 mostly horned Hereford bulls there that he's raised. He's got several replacement females. He's got 10 replacement Hereford open heifers there. And those are registered. 15 registered fall calving heifer cows there, and 130 black baldy spring calvers. And they'll be fancy, guys. They'll be bred to the best. They're bred to low birth weight Express Angus bulls there, so they'll be good black baldies when you get them. And another 31 commercial Hereford cows. So don't forget about that Jameson Hereford Ranch sale coming up this Saturday at 12:30 in the afternoon. Talk about your big sales that happened on Tuesday. Ozarks Regional Stockyard in West Plains, Missouri. They had 1,700 head through the ring, had 1,900 head through the ring, and 1,700 head through their in-house video sale that they do each week with help from DVAuction. And of all the sale barns, I think West Plains has probably done the best job with featuring in-house video sales each and every week, guys. And your buyers are getting used to them. They're bidding online, they're bidding in the house, and those in-house video cattle are selling really well. But through the ring, your feeder steers were $3 to $6 lower. Steer calves were steady to $6 higher. Heifer calves were $4 to $8 lower, a little up and down there at West Plains. But on their video sale that they had in conjunction with their regular sale in the ring there, guys, they featured 25 loads of cattle. That's big time there in south central Missouri, guys. And the top sellers were 91 head of weaned steer calves, weighed 540 pounds, a base weight at $498. That's a big price right there, guys, in that part of the country. Had another 9,535 pound heifers that sell at $440. Another big sale that happened on Tuesday, of course, was Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma. After over 1,100 head of cows on Monday, they sold 5,100 head of feeder cattle and calves on Tuesday. Your feeder steers were $3 to $8 lower. I mean, just following that board from last Friday, guys. Feeder heifers were unevenly steady. The steer and heifer calves sold $5 to $10 higher, with many impressive ranch calves on offer. They were your Superior Steel Sales, home of Superior Standard Livestock Handling Equipment, stick out sale of the day. And you look at this automated market report, and it gives all your best tested weights of cattle that they sold on Tuesday. You can follow along with me. They had 340 head of 4-weight steers. They averaged 456 with a weighted average price of $509.84. There were 516 head of the 5-weight steer calves. They averaged 556 at $453.13. 590 head of 6-weight steers averaged 660 at $390.53. 281 head of the 7-weight steers averaged 741 at $377.72. And 655 head of the 8-weight steers averaged 835 at $361.79. Look at some of the heifers, guys. 208 head of the 4-weight heifer calves averaged 446 at $420.83. 590 head of the 5-weight heifer calves averaged 546 at $394.58. There were 343 head of the 6-weight heifers. They averaged 649 at $366.04. And 551 head of the 7-weight feeder heifers there at Beaver County Stockyards averaged $753 with a weighted average price of $360.06. Give you several of the individual quotes that I found impressive on Tuesday. How about North Platte Stockyards in North Platte, Nebraska, guys? There were 63 head of 499-pound steer calves, same as 500 pounds. They brought $546.50. That's impressive, guys. How about Flint Hills Stockyards in St. Mary's, Kansas? They sell 125 head of 904-pound steers, bring $379.25. That's getting up there as high as we've ever sold them, guys. How about Stockman's Livestock Exchange, the West Barn in Dickinson, North Dakota? They sell 63 head of 640-pound steers at $465.50. Wow. How about Kimball Livestock Exchange in Kimball, South Dakota? They had 63 head of 878-pound steers, bring $390.50. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Tuesday, and your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Philip the Giant in Philip, South Dakota. 67 steers weighed 718 at $428. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.